Which ship were you on and how old were you at the time?
I was 23 years old. I was in an organisation called Defence Section, which was responsible for the defence of the brigade headquarters for what is now 30 Commando. And I went down on board HMS Fearless along with lots of other people.
So I was 23 years old. I went down south on HMS Fearless. I was part of headquarters and signals squadron, the comms troop, which is the Brigadier's main communications hub.
I was 26. Initially, we were on the Stromness, which was a refrigeration ship, American refrigeration ship, which the dockies worked on night and day to make it a 104-bed kind of flat that we could sleep on.
And what was your job on board Fearless?
On board Fearless it was quite frustrating because the ship was so heavily crammed. There was very little training space. It was very difficult to find space to do any physical training, and it felt like we spent most of our time on the mess deck doing theory work. We spent a lot of time at the pot wash and mopping the alleyways and passageways and what have you, because there was so many people on board. I had to keep on top of it, keep it clean. And what we would do was at night time we would find a space in some part of the ship somewhere, do static circuit training, weapon training as often as we could.
My day-to-day was actually spent in the assault operations room, which is the operations room that's dedicated to the embarked forces. So I was in there day-to-day, running comms with the rest of the ships, keeping in contact with them, feeding the information from outside of the task force into the headquarters.
That must have been like pretty busy, like in the actual like comms room as you're going down.
Yeah, it was constant. So it was manned 24/7 from the day we got on till the day we got off.
Day-to-day life, because the ship was effectively an RFA, we didn't have very much in the way of deck space. So a little bit of fizz first thing in the morning out on the helicopter deck. And then we would go into training pretty much every day for recognition, so we could recognise all the different types of aircraft, all the armour that had been seen as they had invaded. So yeah, lots of recognition, lots of map reading.
And what was it like on that ship sort of as you headed down?
Awful. Awful would be an understatement. Very, very cramped. I think the normal embarked force is about 180. I think we have 450 embarked forces on there. So the guys living in corridors, guys were hot bunking, living on the tank deck. The one good thing about Navy, we were pretty well fed.
Was it?
So getting 3 good square meals a day.
It took a month for the task force to reach out after leaving the UK. Did you expect it to turn into war, or did you think a peaceful solution would be found?
I think we all thought it was probably going to sort itself out and diplomacy would win the day.
The Belgrano was sunk. That was, for me, that was the key indicator that there is no turning back now. Until that point, I didn't really think that there was much chance of us landing. I always thought there would be a diplomatic way out. They probably thought at the beginning of it, they won't come, it's 8,000 miles, a long, long way. Surely not.
But a couple of days later, when the Sheffield got hit and the Coventry got hit and we got told about the casualty figures, that was a whole new ball game. It was sort of like, this is real. We are going to war. And then it started to really hit home then as more and more ships were being hit. And seeing the pictures of the wounded and dead sailors and what we thought, good grief, we are doing this, aren't we?
How would you sum up your Falklands War experience?
I would say mixed feelings. There was highs and lows, like with everything. I can probably look on it 40 years later in a slightly more nostalgic way than what I did 20, 30 years ago. And I think the way I dealt with things was just by blocking things out. Where now, with the passage of time, I can think about certain things down there and it doesn't really have an effect on me now in the same way that it did a few years after. But yeah, I'm probably looking at it in a very nostalgic way now because it's such a long time.
So maybe improved over time, sort of?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm very fortunate that I'm able to process difficult information and trauma. Some very good friends have struggled with things and still are, where it hasn't really got to me in the same way because we're all made slightly differently.